Hello from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava. Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who has made a living spewing insane and despicable lies, might finally have to pay for those lies and all the pain that they have caused. The first of three defamation trials for the infowars founder began this week in Texas. A jury is considering how much he owes the parents of some of the victims of the 2012 Sandy Hook school shooting, after falsely told his audience that the whole thing was a hoax. The parents of a 6-year-old killed in the attack want Jones to pay $150 million in damages. They say, and rightly so, he's responsible for the suffering they have endured, which include death threats and harassments by his followers. As Elizabeth Williamson writes in the New York Times, the figure represents the first time a family of a victim has put a dollar amount on the suffering Jones has caused by spreading lies about the 2012 school shooting. Even that Jones has since acknowledged that the shooting was not a hoax, he's still trying to play the victim role. He arrived at the courthouse wearing a tape over his mouth with the message "Save the First" printed on it, a reference to the First Amendment, which he clearly doesn't know that much about. In his defense, Jones' lawyers are making the claim that he was just duped by some of guests and he bears no responsibility. The plaintiffs are trying to make it clear to the jury that it is just another lie from Jones.
Mr. Jones said that the school was fake. It wasn't an operating school. He said that the parents were liars, paid actors. He said the funerals were fake. Their tears were fake. Everything was fake.
Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured. I couldn't believe it at first.
We do not protect defamation, false speech. Because speech is free, but lies you have to pay for.
Now, let's be clear. Alex Jones repeatedly failed to comply with the rules and the laws, and that's why he's now facing the damage phase of these cases. What Alex Jones is trying to do is to relitigate these cases that he has lost last year. There were 4 separate defamation cases that the Sandy Hook families filed against Alex Jones based on the torment that they have endured after he, for years, spread lies about the shooting. He lost those cases because he was refusing to go along with the judicial process. He was not producing business records or financial records. He was not showing up for depositions, and his key staffers were not showing up either. He was sending people to testify as to the running of the business who were not at all knowledgeable about those subjects. So, naturally, judges in 2 states, Texas and Connecticut, in all 4 cases ruled him liable by default, giving a sweeping victory to the families. This is the first of the 3 trials in which jurors will then decide how much Jones must pay the Sandy Hook families in damages. He's attempting to say that his right to free speech protects him, but that ship has sailed. He's fully liable in these cases. And let's face it, it's not like he was muscled in any way from being able to defend himself in these trials. Another big part of this story is Alex Jones' financial situation, which is also in question. Jones is claiming he's broke. In court record last year, he said he had a negative net worth of $20 million. But the Sandy Hook family say he's lying there as well. Court records showing Jones' infowars store, which sells loosely nutritional supplements and survival tools, it made more than $165 million. That is $165 million between 2015 and 2018. It might be useful to point out as well that the $150 million is just a compensatory damages. The families will also ask for punitive damages. Despite the large dollar amount to you and I, it only represents 3 years worth of annual revenues of $50 million a year for InfoWars. Now, astonishingly, Jones' lawyers had the audacity of asking for the jury to award a single dollar as a symbolic move. In her New York Times article, Elizabeth Williamson also wrote about the broader goal by some of these parents. They want the trials to alert Americans to the mounting damage done to vulnerable people and civic life by via political lies, whether bogus theories denying mass shootings or false claims of stolen 2022 elections that brought violence to the Capitol on January 6, 2021. And she further points out in her book, Sandy Hook, An American Tragedy and the Battle for Truth, that this is a foundational story of how false narrative and misinformation have gained traction in our society. This was fairly unusual when these conspiracy theories led by Alex Jones began to spread lies around Sandy Hook. They were spreading political conspiracy theories, which was a pretext for gun control. And let's not forget that Alex Jones was a key player in spreading coronavirus myths, the 2020 election lies, and finally the Capitol insurrection on January 6, 2021. What the Sandy Hook families want to do is to also alert Americans to the idea that this is becoming not only threatening to the vulnerable people like them, but really corrosive to our democracy, as we did see on January 6th. I think you'll agree with me that sometimes you have to hit them where it hurts the most, and that's a pocketbook sometimes. To see more videos like this and to support my work, click the subscribe button here on the screen. You may also follow me on Medium, where I write about the most important topics daily, or check out my podcast, Dr. Ryan Alva Show, on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.